So Assassin's Creed Mirage is about to get its biggest expansion yet, and it's not just a few tweaks or an extra quest line. We're talking about a full-blown expansion called Valley of Memory, dropping November 18th. It's free, it's over 6 hours long, and it's Ubisoft Bordeaux teaming up with Ubisoft Paris to create something that isn't just filler, it's a proper new chapter for Basim. Here's the kicker though, the DLC isn't about the Hidden Ones, or Nihao, or the wider Assassin Templar conflict. It's about Basim himself. It's a somewhat coming-of-age story for this middle-aged man, set against the heritage sites of Al-Ula with new tools, activities, and some pretty spooky enemies that blow on whistles made of vulture skulls. Yeah, it's a thing, and it's a bit creepy. But let's break down everything you need to know, from the story, locations, to the gameplay twist, the new side activities, and why Valley of Memory might be the most personal story of Mirage we've had yet. So Mirage's base game framed Basim as an apprentice of the Hidden Ones caught up in a bigger fight, but this DLC, it strips all of that away. This is pretty much Basim's story only. After sequence 4, Basim hears a rumor that his long-lost father might still be alive in Al-Ula. That sets him off on a personal quest that spans the ruins, markets, and deserts of the region. The story becomes one of identity, a son trying to understand where he comes from, who his father was, and what that means for the future. And unlike the main game, there's no link to the Hidden Ones, no Nihao, no animus trickery, just Basim's search for answers, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of. I feel like this DLC should have linked more into the animus trickery as well as the Isu stuff. As we know, spoiler alert for Assassin's Creed Mirage, I mean the game's been out years now, but basically Nihao is a figment of Basim's memory when he becomes the Loki character in Valhalla. It's sort of a whole massive plot point, and I'm a bit annoyed they have decided not to go with it. But either way, we're getting a new DLC for Mirage. Basim does however cross paths with new faction known as the Robbers. They're part thieves, part mercenaries, and they use bone instruments and death whistles to terrify their enemies, and if that wasn't smart enough, they set traps across the desert, so be careful whilst free roaming around the new location. Basim also gets help from two new allies, Nimla, a wealthy merchant who recognizes Basim as a Hidden One, and Hind. She rescues him and feeds him scraps of information about his father, but whether Basim finds closure or more questions at the end, that's for us to discover. Now let's talk about the star of the DLC, the world. The devs have recreated some jaw-dropping heritage sites for the DLC, and they're more than just backdrops. The old city of Al-Ula is a dense, maze-like settlement with markets, rooftops, and thieves lurking in the alleys. It feels alive in a way Baghdad sometimes didn't, thanks to the new quest lines woven into its people. Then you have the Valley of Stone, an open-air library where thousands of messages have been carved into the rock over centuries. It's eerie, beautiful, and very different from anything in Mirage's Baghdad. And then you have Hegra, which is a sprawling archaeological site complete with hidden chambers and secrets tucked into its tombs, so if you're the type to scour every corner, this location is going to keep you busy for hours. And then there's the deserts. They're wide open, yes, but they are deadly. You'll have random ambushes, vulture calls signaling danger, and over 100 burial sites in the land of the dead for players to stumble across. It's not as big as Baghdad, but I think that's the point. Al-Ula and its valleys are smaller, denser, and more experimental. It's designed to test the newer activities and the different parkour routes, which are pretty much very similar to Mirage's, but we'll get on to that a bit later. But let's talk about the real star of this massive update, and that is mission replays. For the first time in Mirage and Assassin's Creed for years, you can dive back into the big assassination missions, the black box set pieces, and tackle them in brand new ways. Here's how it works. Once you've beaten a mission in the main game, it unlocks in the Animus sequence menu, and you can jump back in whenever you like. Each replay comes with 4 unique challenges, stuff like don't use eagle vision, only kill the main target, take 0 damage, do it under a strict time limit, and tons more. If you fail one, it's marked red, complete them, and you'll earn rewards like upgrade materials, weapons, and new armor. And it's not just the old missions either. Valley of Memory's new black box missions are tied into the system as well, meaning you can replay them, grind the challenges, and unlock gear across any save file, even New Game Plus. There is no farming it endlessly though. Once you've beaten the challenges, that's it, but the replayability is the point. You're no longer stuck with how you handled the mission the first time. Want to go in loud after stealthing it? Go for it. Want to speedrun it against your mates? Now you can. It's a small addition on paper, but for a game game built around creative assassinations, it's massive. Honestly, this is the kind of feature Mirage and other Assassin's Creed games should have shipped with, and it's great to see it added in this update. Also, Ubisoft, if you're watching, please add a leaderboard for times so you can compete against your friends. It's a really cool idea and something I know a lot of players will want to see and have in the game. Also, if you just want to keep adding this into their future titles, I'll be down for that 100%, especially with the release of Shadows DLC. It would be great to see it in that with the Nowaki DLC. Just give it to me, please. So let's talk about the gameplay twists and improvements. Ubisoft did say that the DLC was built directly off fan feedback, and based on what I saw, it does somewhat show that. Basim's free running does feel smoother with a tweaked control scheme that adds backer jets, height gain tricks, sharper transitions. It's very subtle, but anyone who found Mirage's parkour a bit clunky will definitely notice the difference, although you still know it's Mirage's parkour. It's not Shadows, it's not Nawe, it's still Basim at its core. You then have this new Viper sword style, adding fresh animations and combat options. There's the hardened Assassin, which bumps up the challenge, and Ultimate Assassin, which is basically a nightmare mode, unless you're gliding for permadeath. There's also 5 new upgrades, including armor-piercing blow darts, smoke bombs that dissolve enemies you kill inside the cloud, and noisemakers that put enemies to sleep. It's good that they're adding these new upgrades in. However, I wonder if we can use them in the main game. I'm not too sure. Definitely something to try out. But as mentioned, it is still Assassin's Creed Mirage, so don't expect Nawe's parkour abilities or the lighting system from Shadows. However, that being said, the new combat and the parkour upgrades do give a slight improvement to the overall game. It does make every fight and mission replayable though, because you have these new tools and abilities. It's good to see them actually care about the player's ability rather than just giving us a straight up, you know, here's a DLC, we got paid to make it sort of thing. And then of course there's these side activities. Now, Eula isn't just about story missions. Ubisoft have added some activities such as obviously the black box missions returning. Tales of Eula are short narrative quests. They are exactly like the Tales of Baghdad, you know, fleshing out the people and the culture, learning a little bit more about the history of the location. Then you have stolen goods, which task you with tracking the robbers, pickpocketing them for clues, and raiding camps for stolen treasure. I like this. It really does add a more detective mystery mode back into the game. Pretty cool to see. Then you have music pages, which a lot of you will be very familiar with from Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. These are floating around the world, forcing you into a parkour chase. Once you collect one, Basim can play them at a melody corner, which is an actual spot where NPCs will gather to listen to Basim playing this music. It's pretty cool, and also does remind me of the music we got in Black Flag, which I can't wait to hear again in the remake. I know this is about the DLC, but you know, I just can't wait to hear that stuff again. It's also worth noting that I'm pretty sure the music pages that float around are the parkour challenges. It wasn't confirmed or wasn't spoken about much during our little session. However, based on what we know and saw, the music pages are pretty much the parkour challenges. They're not really difficult, and it's just a little bit of fun to unlock some cool music. Then you have folk tales, which can be discovered by chatting to NPCs. Again, this expands the lore of Eula beyond just the main story, which I'm always a fan of. You know, with the Assassin's Creed games, the whole point of the location and time period is to learn about it. So having these different folk tales spread out throughout the DLC was great to see. And yes, wanted posters are back, although they're more concentrated in the old city and not plastered on every desert dune, because that would just be a bit weird. Now let's quickly talk about the new faction that are called the Robbers, and they are unlike anything we've seen in Mirage. They're a hybrid of thieves and soldiers, but what makes them unique is their use of sound. As mentioned before, they blow into instruments made from vulture skulls, designed to mimic the infamous Aztec death whistle. It's meant to terrify both enemies and the player. They use whistles to signal ambushes, to retreat, to confuse. They'll even set up traps across the desert, forcing you into combat with no warning. And here's the big kicker: Basim may eventually be able to use the whistle himself, flipping it back on them. It makes the Robbers feel distinct from Mirage's Caliphate guards. They're chaotic, unpredictable, and woven tightly into the DLC's atmosphere. A nice, unique enemy type to face off against within this DLC. But talking about the whistle, audio is huge in this DLC. Now, the lead sound team said they wanted Eula to feel mystical, almost unsettling. The desert wind winds, the stone valleys, the wailing of robber whistles, it all builds tension. Meanwhile, Basim's lute playing gives the DLC moments of calm, unlocking new melodies, performing an intercity, watching NPCs gather. It's a pretty clever way to make music part of the gameplay loop, not just background noise. It's Assassin's Creed with an almost mythic edge to it. So that's essentially the Valley of Memory DLC, a 6-hour story-driven DLC built around Basim's search for his father, packed with new tools, activities, enemies, and improvements, and best of all, it's completely free. It's not trying to expand the Assassin's Creed lore, which of course I'm just a bit annoyed about. It really should. There's no hidden one conspiracy, no Isu twist, which doesn't make sense because Basim is Isu up to his bones. But it's just Basim, a family mystery and a valley filled with history, danger, and song. It is refreshing to get a DLC like this. However, I do have to say, I wish there were some Isu elements, just because Basim is part Isu himself, essentially. But other than that, it's a pretty cool DLC. But what do you think about it? Will Valley of the Memory keep you busy this November, or are you saving your hype for the next mainline AC? Drop your thoughts down below and let me know if you will be playing this DLC. I mean, why not? It is free. If you enjoyed the video, like, we greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe for some more Assassin's Creed content. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.